Can't hear me, please let me know in the chat. I'm trying my headset, so my audio should be better. Yeah, so I'm on the road. I'm in Oregon right now, and I decided to join the Mises Caucus today. And some of you might know that that's something I've stayed away from for a while. Anyone who's been following me the last like 6 months. Um, I just don't like caucuses in general. I don't think that for the most part that they help anything. I grew up in a religious household and I went to church, and the churches always made me laugh with all the different denominations they had. You had Catholic, Episcopalian, Baptist, Methodist, I don't even know how many. There probably a dozen. And instead of trying to work together toward a common goal, they would turn each other into enemies instead. And I was a Baptist, and the Catholics were almost worse than atheists, because of the religious minutia that separated us, because they'd pray to the Virgin Mary, and they believed some wacky stuff about communion and whatever. Like 98% of the message is the same, but um, just because there was these small differences, we were all dire enemies. And so all the denominations in the church were always fighting each other instead of actually working together. It was very rare you'd see Baptists and Catholics come together on anything. And so I've thought that way about the Libertarian Party with caucuses for a while. That's kind of what they do for the most part. It's pretty rare that you see people coming from different caucuses to work together. It's usually just, let's get this caucus in charge and let's thwart what this caucus is doing and blah blah blah. And I just don't care because I'm a libertarian. Um, I don't. I haven't cared which caucus is in power. I just want to have successful candidates, strong messaging that can change people's minds, and decent people who are trying to work together and believe in liberty. But this is kind of what it's turned into. The Mises Caucus is the only part of the Libertarian Party that I consistently see trying to evangelize their message, trying to recruit people, trying to get people involved, trying to turn their states into a force for liberty. Everybody else is just bitching about it. So, if we use the old analogy of the church denominations, it's as if the Catholics are the only ones who are out there trying to save people or whatever, and you guys know I'm an atheist now, but I'm just using this analogy. If the Catholics were the only ones out there doing potlucks and going door to door and handing out tracts and going on TV and talking about Jesus or whatever, like if they were the only ones doing that, and then the Baptists did nothing but complain about what the Catholics think about communion and how they think that it actually turns into the body of Christ as you eat it. That's all they're going after. Instead of trying to get out there and save people, they're doing nothing but criticizing the Catholics for how they run their church, or their religious minutia. That's all they care about. That's what the Libertarian Party has kind of turned into. The Mises Caucus is doing all the backbone work, and everyone else is just bitching about what the Mises Caucus does all the time. And I don't agree with everything the Mises Caucus does all the time either. And the Mises Caucus is an organization full of individuals. So there are some individuals in the Mises Caucus that I don't like, and there are a lot of them that I do like, and then there are some of them that I don't agree with how they're going about things. That's the way it is. I mean, if you're in the Mises Caucus, I don't automatically hate you or like you. That's not how that would work. It's an organization full of people, but they've been demonized as this group of alt-right, white supremacist, ethno-nationalist Nazis. It's so removed from the truth. It's so hilarious. I didn't like the Mises Caucus at first, and that was because my introduction to the Mises Caucus was Jacob Hornberger. And I never thought Jacob Hornberger was an ethno nationalist or, um, an alt right bigot. I didn't even think he was conservative. I mean, his number one thing that kind of irked me was how horrible he was to Justin Amash and how much he tried to marginalize him and, you know, say that he was basically a statist Republican or whatever. I mean, Jacob Hornberger was about as anti-Republican as you can get. He was constantly talking about how the progressives and the conservatives have destroyed our country, and I agree with that. But he'd apply it to people that I don't think it was fair. Um, and he was very hateful in all his rhetoric and all the debates, and he was doing all these like Amash interloper videos or whatever, where he was just constantly bashing him, and he just gave me this vibe that if you weren't 110% like Jacob Hornberger, then you were not a worthy libertarian. And that just rubbed me the wrong way. And so he was the biggest introduction I had to the Mises Caucus. And then the next introduction I got was when Joe Jorgensen put out that Black Lives Matter tweet, just people piling on her for weeks and weeks and weeks and not letting it go. So, in my mind, the Mises Caucus was never an alt right Republican conservative thing. I kind of looked at them as what's his name, Daryl Perry, the guy from New Hampshire who ran for president. He's the guy that was afraid we were going to have licenses to toast in our own damn toasters. That was kind of what I thought the Mises Caucus was. I thought they were a bunch of radical purists who, radical anarchist purists who didn't want any nuance, and if you didn't agree with them on everything, they were just gonna chew you up and spit you out. That was what I thought, and I found out I was wrong because I found out first of all that Jacob Hornberger had been advised by a lot of people around him to act differently, that he was pushing a lot of people away, and that he wasn't representing um, the big tent image that the Mises Caucus wanted. And obviously, they weren't public about it while he was running because he was their candidate. So they didn't want to say anything. So I didn't know any of this. And I was kind of new to the party. I'd been a small L libertarian for a while, but I didn't really join in with the Libertarian Party until last year. So I didn't know a lot of these people really well. I've gotten to know a lot of them well over the last several months. And I have found that the Mises Caucus is actually the Liberty Unity Caucus. They're the ones who care about the most important issues. They care about the wars, they care about the Fed, they care about the war on drugs, they care about mass incarceration, they care about immigration. They care about the big things, and if you have variances of disagreement on those issues, it's okay. They're not going to demonize you. If you're not an open borders libertarian, you're not the enemy. If if you just want to get rid of ICE and you want to go back to an Ellis Island sort of system, you're okay. They're not going to spit you out. If you're pro-life, they're not going to spit you out. um you know they're not looking for you to have 100% alignment on everything. They want libertarians to come together on the most important issues and reduce human harm. And that's what I've always wanted. um I've been pragmatic in the past. I voted for Rand Paul, I voted for Tulsi Gabbard, and then I voted for Gary Johnson and Joe Jorgensen, and all of those people kind of fell flat. They were all just kind of I don't know, like they were getting close, but they weren't really hitting home for me. The Mises Caucus is hitting home. Dave Smith is a good man. I've gotten to know him very well. Um, and I've been in lots of private conversations with him and public conversations, ones that you guys have seen on this channel. I really think the world of that guy. He's very consistent. He's truthful. He's honest. Same with Scott Horton. um Tom Woods, like all these people, they're speaking the message that I've had for a while, and I just didn't realize that we were speaking the same message because there was so much infighting going on, and it was hard to see through the fray, but I'm really glad to have gotten to know them, and I'm glad to have ended up where I am now. And I stayed out of the caucus business because um, I don't like the divisiveness. I wish we could just be libertarians and get along. But as I just laid out with the comparison to Catholicism, uh, or sorry, the comparison to denominations, and as if the Catholics were the only ones doing shit and everyone else was just complaining about, how they do communion or whatever. Like that's what the Mises Caucus is. The Mises Caucus is doing the hard work, and everyone's just complaining about them. So I finally just said, "Fuck it, I'm joining the Mises Caucus." And after what happened in Pennsylvania, no rules were technically broken, but they just brought up these old bylaws that they'd never used before to obstruct growth. For a lot of new members, they really disenfranchised a lot of people. I thought that was shitty. And then what just happened in New Hampshire this last weekend? That's my home state, by the way. I live in Utah now, but I'm from New Hampshire. This time they didn't just bring up old bylaws they never used. They fucking stole the party from people who won it legitimately. For what? Like what has the Libertarian Party accomplished ever? Like there are people who have been in it and are doing a ton of hard work, and I don't mean to delegitimize any of them, but what the fuck has the Libertarian Party done? Nothing. It's been useless. That's why none of us have been involved with it. I've been a small L libertarian since like 2015, 2016, but I didn't join the party because it was a fucking joke. Um, and last year things were so bad I was forced to look at it again, and then it was a shit show last year. I mean, let's get real. We didn't win. We barely won anything. We were looked at as a joke again. We got no publicity. Um, I mean, it was just massively disappointing. And then since the beginning of the year, the Mises Caucus has done a ton of work bringing in a ton of people, and they're not alt-right entryists. I know a lot of Tulsi supporters who have joined the Mises Caucus. I know a lot of left-wingers, like former Bernie supporters, former socialists who, Tom Woods, Dave Smith, and then people like me and Josh Smith and Clint from Liberty Lockdown. We've been able to reach them, and we've either convinced them on economics, or it's something that they don't care enough about. They care more about ending wars and ending mass incarceration and ending the Patriot Act. That they're coming over. Like, I mean, this idea that the Mises Caucus is only social conservatives is just so ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. There's people from all over the political spectrum joining, but you know what like the biggest demographic is Ron Paul supporters, people who have been libertarians for a while. Um, so it's just I don't know. I had enough. The New Hampshire fiasco kind of pushed me over the edge, and then my good friend Justin O'Donnell, who I'm sure lots of you know, he's a lot like me. We did that episode "No Caucus for Old Men" with Joe Evans, and we were non-denominational libertarians, and we had decided not to join a caucus because we kind of were all on the same page that we just want everyone to get along. Justin O'Donnell joined the Mises Caucus and became a donating member. I was like, all right, that's it. If Justin O'Donnell's doing it, I'm doing it too. So I joined the Mises Caucus. I am now a member, which is kind of funny. Because in a lot of these videos I talk about how I'm never going to join a caucus. So I'm eating those words now, but I'm not ashamed. I'm a proud member of the Mises Caucus. I'm proud that the Libertarian Party wants to become a force. And I'm proud to be part of this. I'm honored to be friends with Dave Smith, Scott Horton, Pete Quinones, and then getting to know Tom Woods and getting to know all these all these great leaders, and then all these new guys like Clint from Liberty Lockdown. He's great. Um, just everyone who's starting their shows, everyone who's doing their activism in different ways, everyone who's excited to get involved. It's just really cool to see. And I've gone through some changes over the last year. I used to be a minarchist, and I used to kind of have that idea that we could take over the government and have everyone leave us alone. Once you, I mean, after you're on that track for a little while, reality kind of slaps you in the face, and you realize that that's just not tenable. Um, so, you know, I have accepted that I am an anarchist. I'm an anarcho-capitalist. I don't really believe in the coercive force of government anymore. It just doesn't, if you justify it for small things, how can you actually say that it's wrong in other areas? How can you say that you don't want the government doing the menial tasks because it sucks at them, but you want it doing the biggest tasks, whatever? That's a whole different video that I've already done. You guys can go watch. But even with that position, I'm not strictly an agorist. I think that there's value to that. I certainly will never shit on agorism. I think if you're going to take part in it, that's great. But the fact of the matter is, the only way we're going to reach the normies is by being politically involved. That's the only way I was reached. That's the way almost everyone I know, including the agorists, were reached. Um, like Carrie Wedler, she's a great example. Like, she doesn't believe in any political involvement, and I love Carrie. She's amazing. She's great. But Ron Paul inspired her. I think it's the same with Sally Mayweather. Um, like, I mean, it was a Republican running for office that caught their attention. And the other thing is, like, nobody knows who we are unless we run for something, or unless we're involved in running someone for something. That's how people know who Tom Woods is, because of the Ron Paul movement. That gave him his push. Same with, like, Dave Smith. That's, like, the political involvement is what gives us our volume and draws attention to us. So, I mean, we can all have our little shows, and we can all say our stuff, and we can write our books, and we can do whatever, but unless we're involved with what normies are doing, they're never going to change. So that's why I have decided to stay involved in the Libertarian Party, and that's why I joined the Mises Caucus, because um, the Mises Caucus is the only thing that's serious. And I have no interest in being part of a Gary Johnson 2016 party. Like, I voted for Gary and I didn't join the party because I wasn't interested in it. Um, the only reason my interest was piqued again is because the Republicans and Democrats are so bad, and 2020 was such a tyrannical year. So I decided I had to take a look at it again. And I was pretty heartbroken, to be honest. The end of this last year, I was wondering if the Libertarian Party was even worth fucking with anymore. I kind of flirted with going with the Articles of Unity thing, trying to get some good right winger to run with some good left winger or something. Like, I was running out of ideas. I'd kind of given up. And then I got in touch with Dave Smith and became friends with him, and he has really convinced me that this is the right way to go. So that's about it. I would encourage everyone who watches me to join the Mises Caucus. It doesn't take much. You can just become like a $5 donor. Just do it $5 per month or whatever. Just go to the Mises Caucus website, and they'll show you how to sign up. It's very easy. If you guys aren't part of LP National yet, I'd also do that. I'm part of the Utah Libertarian Party, uh, LP National, and the Mises Caucus now. So, I'm a lifetime member of the National Party, and then I forget how we did it in Utah. I just paid my dues in Utah, and then I think I'm donating. I think it's $50, or no, $25 a month to the Mises Caucus. So, I mean, if you can't afford that much, just go lower. It doesn't really matter. Just, give what you can. Uh, Change the demographics, and, show that the party's growing. But you know, I haul shit and I promote liberty. That's what I do. I'm the naturalist capitalist. I'm a truck driver and I'm a libertarian. I don't want to get involved in all this bullshit drama. I hate it. I hate party politics. I hate meetings and bylaws and structure. It's fucking boring. But as long as these idiots are just standing in our way and trying to tear shit down, then nothing good is ever going to come of this. I talk about the bitch fuck cucks all the time and how they're not really the enemy, so to speak. They should just be ignored. And I still think that. Like, I think, and I'm going to name some names. Archie Flower should be ignored, and Nick Sarwark should be ignored. Brianna Coyle should be ignored. But when they're standing in the way of trying to make the Libertarian Party better, then they become a problem. So we've got to actually change this party. We've got to get enough people in here to take it over, like, because I mean, I didn't like that. I didn't like that messaging at first, but I completely get it now. Like, there are just parasites in this party that don't want their little um, dynasty that they've created. They're a big fish in a tiny, tiny pond, and so seeing people like Dave come in, who has a huge audience and actually can bring people in and make a difference, and then Tom Woods, Maj Toure, people like that, that scares them. And then even people like me or Clint, who are pretty new and we're just having success with audiences, that fucking pisses them off too. So to achieve liberty unity, which is something I still believe in very much, I think that everyone who is a good faith libertarian should work together and put their differences aside. But if you're a bitch fuck cuck, as I call them, who's just in here to maintain your little bit of turf that you've had for years and try to tear down and disparage everybody who challenges you or tries to go about something a different way than you do or tries to bring in people that you don't agree with 100%, just fuck off. And so, I mean, basically get out of the way or get run over. Like, it's not about purging you. I don't care if you stick around. I want everyone who wants to be in the Libertarian Party to be in it, but stop being a parasite. Stop just sucking the energy out of everything good in this movement. Like, just stop. So, yeah, that's it. To achieve liberty unity, we've got to bypass the bitch fuck cucks. We got to outnumber them. We got to make them uncomfortable, and we've got to beat them. And if they want to stay and vote for us, still great. But I mean, they suck. They suck. So that's about it. I've talked enough. Let's see. We got a couple super chats. Wish I could join the effort down there with you guys. Canada is in uh, inveterate shithole. Yeah, sorry, buddy. And then we got another super chat from Marshall Forward. LPMC all the way. Thanks for the super chat, guys. And then I got a question. When will you have Michael Heist? I've talked to Michael Heist on the phone. I'm gonna get him on here at some point. I was supposed to have him on like a month ago, and it just didn't work out with the scheduling. But I'm gonna meet him at Pork Fest next week. I think he's gonna be there. Um, so yeah, yeah. So by the way, I'll be at Pork Fest. I don't know who's going there, but I'd love to meet anyone who's gonna be there. I'll be there on the 24th and the 25th, I believe, and then I'll also be going to Freedom Fest. Let's see. So as far as videos go, tomorrow I've got Fiorella Isabel coming on. And then Thursday I've got Sarcasm Stardust. And then Monday next week I've got Nick Gillespie. And then next Thursday is the Four Horsemen with Ryan Dawson, um, Eric Jackman, myself, and Scott Horton. So make sure you check in for that. Oh, I do want to mention that too. Um, that's one thing that really pissed me off about the bitch fuck cucks is Ryan Dawson. I fucking love Ryan Dawson. That guy is like my older brother at this point. Like, I talk to him every day. I've had him on the show many times. I'm gonna have him on as long as I can before they, finally censor me and get rid of me. But man, you want to draw out the loser brigade, have Ryan Dawson on your show. And, I don't actually agree with Ryan Dawson on everything. There's a couple things we disagree on. We've even talked about them in some of the Four Horsemen videos. But that guy is like the number one voice on the deep state. I like how Clint put it. He's the Scott Horton of the deep state. Like that guy knows so much about billionaire pedophiles and APAC and disgusting money laundering and rape rings and stuff that went on 9/11. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on. Um, and he's been censored from like every platform. So I am going to continue having that guy on um, for as long as this channel exists. So I mean, he was the gateway to the Mises Caucus in a way because just his presence would infuriate the fuck out of the loser brigade. Like, I mean, he draws it out more than anyone, more than Pete Quinones, more than Dave Smith. Like, get Ryan Dawson on your show if you want the losers to lose their minds. But I love Ryan Dawson. He's going to be on here forever, um, as long as this channel exists. But yeah, that's about it. I've been rambling, so I'm going to cut it off right here. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. I think at 8 o'clock I'll be doing that video. 8 o'clock Mountain Time, so 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But yeah, don't lose the faith. Join the Libertarian Party. Join the Mises Caucus. It's it doesn't cost much. You can do it very cheaply. And yeah, I don't really see a better tool. The Republicans are lost. The Democrats are lost. The Libertarian Party's also lost, but there's a chance with the Mises Caucus. I'll catch you guys later.